deep breath and give people grace and get through the day with a smile and everything's fine. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started. So I'm here with MaxLiving Chiropractic. I actually am not a doctor, not a chiropractor. I work on the operations team. My title is People and Business Development Manager. So I oversee the people side of things, so HR, all that fun jazz. And then the business development side is marketing and outreach and community engagement, which is really where my passion is. Transparently, I do not like public speaking at all. However, I just kind of briefly explain some of the stuff of our experience. Chiropractic's changed my life. And so it's really important to me that I take my experience and share it with other people because it's had such a positive impact with me. I believe that you guys deserve the same information, at minimum, just having access to the information and make best decisions for your life because it did change my life. So my goal today is for you just to learn some practical tools, have some more information, and feel like you can really have empowerment over your health journey and make small changes that can really make a beneficial difference in your life. But before we start diving into the teaching points, I want to give you more of my background and my personal story with chiropractic and just the business in general. So there's 3 locations here in the Columbia area. They've been around for 15 years now. They're owned and operated by Dr. Sarah Losby and husband Mark Losby. And this message is like deeply personal to me. So I once planned on working in admin, high admin in healthcare. I was in nursing school, working as a CNA. COVID hits. I was working in pediatrics, private practice. Hours got drastically cut. Transitioned to hospital, worked med surge, worked COVID unit and the ER. And I looked around. I was like, "Holy smokes, this is a mess." Which I'm sure it was just a lot. And so I remember coming back to Columbia, I left the hospital and I changed my degree path to something in the administrative side of healthcare. And I was working, not working, I was a student full time, but I got a little bored. And so I was like, I kind of want like a part-time job. Got on Facebook and was looking for like nanny roles. And this woman posted and she's like, "I need a nanny for my 3 kids. It's like 20 hours a week." I was like, perfect, sold. Meet Dr. Sarah. And I remember I'd be at her kitchen table at the end of the day after nannying her kids all day. And I would tell her, I was like, Dr. Sarah, I'm going to get this degree and I'm going to get into the hospital. I'm going to climb the ladder and I'm going to change that hospital. I'm going to make it better. And I'm going to make it better for the staff. I'm going to make it better for the patients. I'm just going to radically change one hospital. And that was genuinely what I was going to dedicate my life to. And she came to me one day and she was like, "Hey, what if you would change healthcare in this way instead?" And that's when I kind of got immersed in the holistic side of stuff, which was really, really cool. And it was interesting as a year spent as a chronic patient myself, working in healthcare and then also being on the patient side, seeing a different perspective. So my story as a chronic patient, I've had lifelong issues. Me and my mom joke around and say I came out the womb sick, which is not necessarily too far off from the truth. I always struggled with severe unexplained GI symptoms, so malabsorption, abdominal like bleeding, severe swings between diarrhea and constipation, extreme pain every day. I mean, like debilitating pain. All my labs were always abnormal. My autoimmune markers were off the charts, but we still couldn't really figure out what was going on. And this greatly impacted my life. I was not a normal child at all. I was on something called intermediate homebound with the school system. So I was never at school, missed out on a lot of big milestones and events, all because I was just so chronically ill. I had other things going on, like I had reproductive issues. My liver wasn't functioning right. I had bruises. I mean, I was 24 here and it's like bruising all over my body. I was frail. My face has no color. It was awful. I mean, you might be thinking like, why did you just like go to a specialist? And it's like, I did, trust me, like multiple times. And not just like any specialist, but the best in our region. So Duke and USC, the Mayo Clinic down in Florida. I was going to all these specialists. I had one actually look at me and he said, "You're just too complex. I can't figure this out. I don't know what's going on." So a part of my role as a nanny, a benefit of that was getting chiropractic care. And I had seen chiropractors my whole life. I would go since I was a little kid, but it was mostly for, I was an athlete as a kid, danced, rode horses, all this stuff. And it was, let's just keep you flexible. Let's keep you moving. It wasn't necessarily how we practice holistically. So I went and got my first exam with our clinics here. And it was the first time that a doctor really sat down and listened to my story from start to finish and viewed my body as one whole system and listened to everything empathetically. Because in the past, I had gone to these specialists, and a lot of times the answer was not something I wanted to hear. It was either, "We don't know, it's too complex," or "Here, take this medication, take that medication." we don't know, but we're just going to throw some stuff at you. Or the worst of the worst is I would get gaslit. Well, it's hormonal. It's in your head. Your anxiety. You're overthinking this. Try therapy. Listen, I'm a big fan of therapy. I was doing all the things, and it was also frustrating because I had these symptoms way before I even knew what anxiety was as a kid. And so it just really was a great moment for me and my story to have a doctor sit down and say, I hear you. I see this. It's not in your head, and we're going to figure it out. And that's exactly what they did. So we'll get back to how my story ends. But first, I want to start teaching you about 5 essentials, how we approach chiropractic care, and how these 5 components can really radically change your life, your well being, and the longevity of your life. Because my goal is not just for you guys to live a long time, but for you guys to live a long time really well. So, how most people judge their health is something that has a big misconception, I think, especially in America. Most people, there's 2 ways. They wake up in the morning and they look in the mirror and they say, oh, I look great today, so I must be healthy. Or they'll wake up and say, oh, I feel great today, so I must be healthy. I'm going to tell you guys now that's a really dangerous way to live your life. And there's a reason for that. So you wake up and you look good and you assume, oh, I'm healthy. There are many times that picture before was probably one of my low points, but there are a lot of times where I was super sick and I looked completely normal on the outside. And that was another thing that was limiting when I would seek out help because they would look at me, you're young, you're small, seemingly appear fine. So how can you be so sick? It's very dangerous because disease slowly and quietly builds in your body way before you ever outwardly express it sometimes. And so you cannot judge your health on how you look in the mornings or in general. The second one is how you feel. We hear about it all the time, and it's super tragic and unfortunate about pro athletes just dropping dead on the field. Do you think they woke up that morning and felt bad? Probably not. They're like the most conditioned top performers in our country, and yet they go out and do something they've been doing for years, peak performance, and they drop dead on the field from a heart attack. Why is that? It's because it's quietly building in your body, and you feel great, but there can still be things going on. I'm going to teach you a little bit about that on the next slide. So the point of this slide is for you guys to realize that true health requires looking further past just how you look and how you feel. And how we address that in Max Living is something called the function scale. So health is not just about the absence of disease, but it's how well your body is functioning and healing. The function scale, so you can see it here, 0 to 100, 0%, we can all assume we're not doing great, we're dead. All right, 100%, we're alive, we're thriving, all that good stuff. It is actually alarming how much function you lose in a system before you ever feel a symptom. So before you ever, and there's studies on this, you can fact check me, Google me. Before you ever have your first symptom pop up, on average, you statistically lost 40% of function to that system that is being affected by a symptom. And a lot of people, what happens, just like I did, my mom, doing what we know to do, you go to a doctor. So you have a symptom pop up, you're not feeling great, you go to the doctor. And this is no shade to doctors. This is just how they're trained. I worked in the healthcare system. We love people. We want to take care of people. It's just a different approach. But they prescribe a medication. And that medication is not necessarily addressing the root cause. It's just making that symptom lesser or go away. And the problem is you're not moving this way, you're either staying here or unfortunately, sometimes you continue going this way. And so you take your medication, you go home, you might feel better for a while, and all of a sudden you have another symptom pop up. So what do? We go back to the doctor, we get another medication. And the whole time we think because we don't have symptoms anymore, really technically you do, you just can't feel them. We're going this way instead of moving this way. And that's the opposite of what we want. And it's the opposite of thriving. So, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I hate when that happens. We want to thrive, so we're going this way. And so how we do that at Max Living is through the 5 essentials. So that's mindset, nutrition, oxygen, and exercise, minimizing toxins, and then structural, neurological-based chiropractic care. The first one we're going to talk about is mindset. So in America, it has become very normalized to live in chronic stress. Go, go, go. We work high demanding jobs, long hours. You get off work, first thing we do in the morning, you wake up, open your eyeballs, we're scrolling, then you're up, you're taking care of your kids, you're getting ready for work, you're doing bus drop off, and you go to your job that's super demanding, you get off, you pick up your kids. It's just constant. And we're kind of conditioned that this is normal, and it's not. And what happens is We start to get these physical and mental, emotional signs of stress. So, headaches, rapid heart rate, trouble sleeping, weight loss resistance, overeating or undereating. Some people react differently. Hives, skin issues, so eczema, things like that. Nausea, underlying contributor to 6 leading causes of death as well. So, like stroke, heart attack, diabetes, cancer, all those things. Chronic stress is a leading indicator of those diseases developing in the body. So, why stress matters? There's two hormones, and these hormones are our body is very smart. We're designed very intelligently. These hormones are meant to save our life in the event of an emergency. But what's happened is when chronic stress kicks in, our body no longer knows if we're being chased by a bear or we just have a work email we have to answer. And those two hormones are adrenaline and cortisol. And so what happens is you have a stress trigger come up, and all of a sudden your body perceives it as a threat. Your hormones, release. Adrenaline goes through the roof. Cortisol goes through the roof. And the problem is that's okay to happen, but most people don't know how to shift their nervous system from the sympathetic nervous system back to the parasympathetic. So, sympathetic is that system that you want in an emergency. It's what saves your life, the fight, flight, freeze response. If a bear is chasing you, you want your adrenaline through the roof so you can run and you can do all this. Your body shuts everything down. All other systems turn off. Your glucose goes through the roof so you have energy available so you can run or do whatever you need to do to survive. However, we don't need that when we're answering work emails or things like that, but we're so sensitive to it now. And the good news is that we can correct these things with minor changes, and that's learning how to shift your system from parasympathetic in the moment to, or your sympathetic, excuse me, to your parasympathetic. Parasympathetic is going to be that rest, digest, and heal system. That's what you want to learn how to activate once you've had a stressful moment. Um, and some ways you can do that are very simple. So, shifting your mental approach to life, it sounds so corny and so woohoo and simple, but I promise you it really does make a big difference. And it's something called your reticular activating system. And it's kind of like the Google search engine of your brain. So it works like algorithm. What you focus on and what you look out for is what you will start to see more of. So if you're constantly thinking, I suck, my life sucks, everybody's mean and awful and there's no good in the world, your brain is automatically going to seek that out and validate itself. So if you just make small changes in your thought patterns of, I don't suck, I'm actually doing great, and maybe something small happened today and I was upset for a moment, but that doesn't mean the whole day was a bad day. And you start to look for the good in other people, the good in your job. That is then what will shift your mindset, and your brain will start seeking those things out. It's the same thing as, like, I don't know if you guys ever been shopping for a car and you're like, I might want like a Jeep. And before that, you'd never really seen Jeeps. And now that you're looking and shopping for a Jeep, now you see Jeeps everywhere. That's not by accident. It's your reticular activating system. So it works just like an algorithm. What you feed to it and what you speak to yourself is what you will see in the world. So making small changes in your mindset can really change your stress levels as well. Life is about 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it. So those small changes, again, can really make a big difference. And then some other practical tools that you can use to shift your mindset. So, in those moments, there's been studies done when you're actively practicing gratitude or prayer, or whatever that looks like for you, however you do it, journaling, things like that. It is impossible to feel stress at the same time. It shuts down the portion of the brain that feels stress and activates the side of the brain that feels gratitude and gratefulness and all these things. They cannot operate at the same time in conjunction. So, just taking a few minutes to be reflective in the mornings or at the end of the day of what you're grateful for, spending time in prayer, journaling, reflecting, all those things are really good. And it's a really small, free way to make a big change in your life. Reading more, so doing something positive like that, reading more is good instead of scrolling. Cheap dopamine is really easy to get, and it's addictive, and it doesn't really do anything but keep you in a constant state of stress. And most of the time after we get cheap dopamine, you feel worse than you did before. Cheap dopamine looks like binge eating, scrolling. Some people it's alcohol, some people it's rec drugs, whatever that looks like. It's much more rewarding if you can do dopamine hits that you had to work for. So going for a walk, doing some weightlifting, yoga, reading, things like that, that positively impact those endorphins to release in your body that you actually had to earn, brings that cortisol level down, brings adrenaline down, and also reduces inflammation in the body. So these are all really good things that you can start implementing that, again, are free, that will shift that mindset and your physiological response to stress and get you some of those good hormones pumping in your body again. Another simple thing you can do that's really helpful in the mornings, especially, is when you first wake up in the morning, getting outside. And again, it sounds very woohoo, but I promise there's studies done on this as well. If you get outside, let your feet physically touch grass and your face feel the sun, because your body naturally releases cortisol in the morning. That's what wakes you up. So getting it back to baseline right after you wake up is really important to set the tone for the rest of the day. So just taking a moment, walking outside, breathing some fresh air instead of jumping out of bed from an alarm and you're in a panic and it's like go 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 go. Just give yourself 5 minutes to go outside and take a deep breath, feel the sun, wake up, feel grass on your feet, and it will kind of calm your body and say, you know what, we're okay. We don't have to go for a marathon first thing in the morning. And then another response that you can do, and this is more so if you have really physical responses to stress. I don't know if anybody's ever experienced anxiety or panic attacks, something like this, or even just stress in general. If you're feeling a little wound up, is box breathing. And Navy SEALs actually use this in high stress scenarios to keep themselves level and grounded so that they can keep their mind clear to make the best decisions in the moment. It's so easy to do, and most people will not know that you're doing it. You can, I mean, when you're learning, you can kind of do your hands like this, or you can picture a box in your brain, but all you're going to do is you count for four inhale. So you inhale to a count of four, you hold for a count of four, exhale for a count of four, and repeat. So you're just like going over into a box. So inhale four, exhale four, all in the shape of a box. You get what I'm saying. And that will take your body from sympathetic to parasympathetic. It's signaling to your brain, hey, we're okay. You don't need to freak out. We're coming back to center. It will kind of start bringing those cortisol levels back to a reasonable level. Another thing that I learned, I don't even have this in my PowerPoint, but it just popped in my mind. Um, your vagus nerve, stimulating that. So if you are in a stressful moment as well, humming and singing shut down that portion of the brain that I talked about earlier, the sympathetic nervous system. So humming, it stimulates that vagus nerve, which runs from your spinal cord all the way down to your GI. Will stimulate that and bring you back to center as well. And singing is a big one. If you're feeling anxiety or panic, especially if you put on music, again, it sounds so silly, but there's research on this. Start singing, it shuts that portion of the brain down. You're focused on singing, you're in the moment, and I promise you will start to feel a little bit better. I already kind of mentioned it, but exercise really is truly important for stress relief. Simple movement, so walking every day or strength training, especially. Again, you're going to get those positive endorphins that you work for. But in general, working out, weightlifting, things of that nature, reduce anxiety by reducing inflammation in your body. It's an actual physical release. So you have this energy. Those hormones are designed, I told you, to help you sprint away or fight in an extreme situation. So if you're feeling that constantly buzzing in your body, going and using that energy to move weights or move your body releases it instead of it just staying pent up. So, and on the flip side of that, you're going to get those positive endorphins releasing as well. So, exercise is really important to incorporate into your life if you're having high stress as well. Next thing we're going to talk about is nutrition. And we're going to start with the standard American diet, which is the bane of my existence. um, Nearly 70% of Americans' diet consists of ultra processed food. Um, why this is a problem? It's not just a problem with weight gain, but it's often low in nutrients and ingredients that we need to keep our body functioning optimally. And so, a lot of the problems with these foods is that, yes, you might feel satiated, but you're not actually fueling your body. And so, when I talk about nutrition, I'm always really careful with my verbiage because I don't like the terms of a diet. I like the term of shifting a mindset from a diet to a way of eating. And the lens that I like to look at that through is when I'm viewing food is when I'm eating this, is this helping my body or is it hurting my body? And a lot of times now, grain of salt, I love sweets, everything in moderation. I eat a cookie multiple times a week. So like moderation, there's balance to things, right? But with my main meals, I look at it and say, am I one just eating this to eat it? Am I eating this? Is it doing anything for me? Is it providing any kind of substance, any kind of nutrients, hurting my body, producing inflammation? Or is this a really well balanced meal that's going to fuel me and give me nutrients so that I'm not creating more inflammation? I'm not making my body work harder than it needs to, and I'm actually able to do things that I enjoy through my diet. So a good saying that I have is if it's in a wrapper, it doesn't go in your yapper. Again, moderation. But most things in a wrapper are not going to be nutrient dense for us. And there are some healthy alternatives, organic, quick snacks that you can have on the go. that are fine, but most of things in wrappers, boxes, things like that are not what we should be putting in our body. And unfortunately, with the way our country allows ingredients into our food, a lot of these things are highly toxic to us anyway. And so the solution to that is to eat whole foods. And it's really easy to do when you're at the grocery store. You just stay on those outer edges of the grocery store. If you think about it now in your mind, what's on those outer edges? Fruit, dairy, produce, meats. And those inner aisles are all the things in the colorful boxes. I'm kind of go off on a tangent here too. It really frustrated too. I love children, and a lot of these boxes and snacks and things are marketed specifically for children. Bright colors, fun characters, all these things. A kid sees it, they want it, and you look at the ingredients, and what is it? It's all these processed, artificial ingredients, dyes, toxins, and we're feeding this to our kids. And this is the future of, of America and our country. These are the people that are going to be taking care of us when we're older, and we're setting them up for a lifetime of illness, which can be easily prevented if we just make small swaps for them and feed them whole foods. And whole foods can be fun too. But again, solution is to just switch your mindset. It's not a diet, but a way of eating. Is this helping my body or is it hurting my body? And by doing that, you'll have a big difference in your life. Anti-inflammatory meals. So this is how I want you guys to look at your meals. Majority of your meals should be protein. Very protein heavy, and there's good protein and there's bad protein, but we don't need to get that complex right off the rip. Just start prioritizing your protein. And a good way to measure how much protein you should be eating a day is your body weight times 0.75 grams, and that will give you how much you should be eating a day. And now that's just like maintenance. If you want to lose or gain weight, for losing weight, you would take your goal body weight, so it would be less than what you weigh, times 7.5. That's the amount of protein you should be eating. And if you're trying to gain weight, same thing, what the goal weight that you are trying to reach, times 0.75, and that's how much protein you should be eating. Good fats, prioritizing good fats are super healthy. Your brain literally needs fats to function. Your brain is majorly made up of fat. So that looks like things like omega-3s, fish, avocados, even eggs have healthy fats in them, nuts, getting some good fats in with every meal or supplementing them with a really high quality fish oil supplement is really good. So you want fats at every meal, and then veggies majorly. Second to protein is having a lot of veggies on your plate. And so when you think about vegetables, I want you to think of like the bright colored ones. Those are the most nutrient dense. So if you think about like bell peppers, right, like bright green, bright red, green or yellow, all those different colors, the brighter and vibrant the fruit or the vegetable is, the more nutrient dense that it is. So those bright colored veggies being on your plate is huge. And then fruit is great, just making sure that's low glycemic. Sugar is still sugar, even if it's from a natural source. So keeping sugar intake on the lower end with your fruit consumption is really good as well. So a lunch idea, just hard boiled egg, avocado, red pepper, and apple, and your smooth sailing. And it's, again, just setting yourself up for success. I know life is busy. My life is busy as well. I try and just meal prep as much as I can and think about, okay, on this day, what do I have going on and how can I make myself um, be successful in a way that I can be on the go, but also still fuel my body with the things that it needs to be healthy versus it's so easy to just swing through a drive through and say, oh gosh, I was busy. And then by the end of the day, you're groggy, you have brain fog, you don't feel good. It's like, why did I do that to myself? If you just start making small changes through your day, then you can really start to have improvements with your nutrition. But if you take anything away from this, I would want you guys to leave prioritizing your proteins and your fats. And then just a sidebar is we've been taught for a long time, especially in the 90s and the early 2000s, that carbs were the enemy, like low carb, carbs are bad. And I'm here to tell you that carbs are not the enemy. You need carbs for your body to function, but I want you to think about carbs, simple and complex carbs. So you want simple carbs, healthy carbs. So things like sweet potatoes, white rice, brown rice. There are healthy carbs, and please do not cut them all out of your diet. Your body needs them to survive. So that little tidbit in there too, just, you can go home and Google or ChatGPT simple versus complex carbs, good versus bad, and just making sure you're getting those in. Personally, I love sweet potatoes. They're so easy. Throw them in the oven for an hour. You can leave them in the potato skin and cut them open and do like a potato bowl or whatever, or you can mash them up like mashed potatoes. And they're so dense in fiber, good carbs, all that good stuff. Very nutrient dense, vibrant colors there. So yeah, don't believe the carb slander that's out there. You need it to thrive, especially if you're exercising. Which brings me to oxygen exercise. And I kind of already touched on exercise and the benefits of it, but we're going to go a little bit deeper here. Benefits of exercising. So, truthfully, if exercise could be packed into a pill, it would be the single most widely prescribed and beneficial medicine in the nation. And that is not just fluff, that is based on statistics and research. It helps support a healthy weight. So, the more muscle mass that you have on your body, the more equipped your body is to handle those sugar spikes and things like that, insulin resistance. So, it helps you support a metabolic rate and also maintaining insulin resistance so you don't hold on to sugar and fat that your body does not need. It helps boost your mood, so keeping that stress level low. It regulates hormones. It builds and strengthens your muscles, which muscle mass has a direct correlation to longevity and your grip strength. There's a study done recently that correlates your grip strength directly to longevity and how well you will function in the later years in life. So the stronger your hands are now, the better your life will be in down the line. Um, and it also helps decrease the risk of disease. So I mentioned earlier I was a chronic patient. I'm diagnosed with autoimmune disease and I take no biologics for it. I completely manage everything with holistic lifestyle. And building muscle mass on my body was a very difficult task, but it's been one of the most life changing tasks for me because it has significantly reduced inflammation in my body and boost my energy as well. Whereas previous to working out, I was exhausted all the time. I felt very weak, very tired. I mean, something simple like taking a shower would wipe me out. And so, really prioritizing lifting heavy and building muscle mass on my body um, has radically changed my life. So, really implementing these types of things. And also in our country, I mentioned having like stressful jobs and busy work, but a lot of us like have sitting jobs. So, we're at a desk from 6 to 8 hours a day. Um, and I'm going to tell you that they did a study that sitting is the new smoking. So, sitting and having a sedentary life is just as dangerous as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, and it will kill you just as quickly. Things like heart disease, diabetes, strokes, premature death, cancers, all have been correlated back to sedentary lifestyles. So even if we're at desk jobs, I really want to urge you guys to take a few minutes. Like if you have breaks, when even if you're like getting up to walk in the bathroom, when you come back, just do some air squats or stretch your body or move or park a little bit further in the parking lot to get more steps in. Just implementing as much movement. It doesn't have to be as complex as weight training right away, but just getting movement back into your life is so important. Uh, Humans instinctively we're built to and designed to travel 5 to 10 miles a day. Most of us are not doing that. So, a goal that I would want you guys to start with is 5,000 steps a day and then build up from there, the end goal being 15,000 steps a day. And it sounds unmanageable, but I promise you start making those small changes like parking further away or having walks throughout your day when you're on a lunch break or things like that. It will drastically change and increase those steps, and you will start to feel your energy rise, your stress lower, your sleep better, all these things. So it's really, really good. It also helps your digestion. It improves your immune strength. We already mentioned blood sugar control, decreases your risk of chronic disease, improves your sleep quality, and lowers those stress hormones. So that is a good start. If I can encourage you to do anything at all, would be to at least get walking in, and then as you start to get confidence with that and working your schedule, implementing some sort of strength training as well would be monumental. We kind of already talked about this, but the 6 to 8 hours a day, getting your 10 steps a day or 10,000 steps a day, hourly squats. So cross body movement is also linked to neuroplasticity. So not even just getting inflammation, so you're reducing inflammation, but plasticity is the idea that your brain can rewire itself and form new thoughts and connections. That is so huge as we get older because that is what prevents Alzheimer's and dementia. So cross body movements looks like I don't know if you guys have ever seen them, but like bird dogs. So anytime you're moving like this arm and this leg separately, cross body movement. So anything like that where your brain is having to use both sides of the brain at the same time is huge. So cross body movements, and you can do that on the floor and crawling motions, things like that. But it's going to build that neuroplasticity and get movement and reduce inflammation. And then the last thing, just build movement into your lifestyle where you can walk versus ride. It's difficult because a lot of cities aren't built in a way that it's like walkable very much anymore. But we have so many free resources in our area specifically that we've got the dam, the river walks, all these things. Take a nice walk in nature, get some movement in there, and you will start to feel a little bit better. This is a free resource here. So at Max Living, we have something called Max T3. It's a free at-home workout plan. Uses body weight for strength training. So if you guys are interested in that, you can scan that QR code. It'll bring up the website, and it's completely free. There's no hidden gimmick where you have to subscribe or register or anything like that. And everything you need is at home. It's pretty much just your body, so you can get movement in that way as well. And then the next thing we're going to talk about is minimizing toxins. This is a big one for our country as well, specifically. Toxic exposure is linked to weakened immune system, allergies, asthma, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, autism, ADD and ADHD, birth defects, cancer, hormonal imbalances, neurological disorders, anxiety, depression, whole slew of things, right? And a lot of these things are very prevalent, not just in my generation and older, but we're also seeing things start to emerge in really young kids. That is a problem. So what even is a toxin? When most people hear the word toxin, they think of something super dangerous and obvious, but unfortunately, toxins are just substances that can have harmful effects on our bodies when we're exposed to them in significant amounts over time. And in our products, a lot of these things are hidden away. So in our foods, we talked about processed foods earlier, things in wrappers, artificial dyes, things like that, but also in our products that we use. So our body washes, our makeup ladies, deodorant, laundry detergent, there's all kinds of chemicals hiding in our products that are very toxic to our body. That frankly are not allowed in other countries, but they are here. So we have to be cognizant of them. And our body is designed to get rid of toxins. That's what we have liver and kidneys for, to process those things out. But the problem comes in is that we are exposed to them constantly so much in America, not just from our products and our food, but also environmentally, the air we're breathing, in our homes from pollution and all these types of things, that our body then gets overloaded and it starts to shut down and build inflammation, and it can't process the way it was designed to. So how we mitigate that is just being aware of what we're consuming, what we're putting on our body, what's in our house, getting fresh air into our house when possible, using air filters, things of that nature to help our body be successful and operate the way that it was designed. We want to not live in fear where you're constantly over analytic of, oh gosh, if I do this, it's gonna, like, your body is designed, it's very, very smart. It can handle toxins. It just can't handle constant toxins all the time from every source that you're exposed to. So just little changes in your personal care products. So um, using organic products as far as like lotions, anything you're putting on your skin. Your skin is one the fastest way to detox. So it's your largest organ in your body. Your body will use your skin to detox, but it's also the quickest way to absorb things into your body, into your bloodstream. So very mindful of lotion, shampoos, laundry detergent, makeup, top ones that I would start addressing immediately, because those things go directly on your skin and they're on your skin all day long. So just making small swaps there for a little bit cleaner products will make a big difference. Household cleaning products. There are, which Rebecca will know this, if you've been crunchy for a while, a few years ago, it was really hard to find clean cleaning products, but now everybody's on the holistic wave, and so there's more options available. But back in the day, it was a little bit struggle. A lot of us were using just white vinegar and water, and that was it, and your whole house smelled like vinegar. Now there's some funner options available with even some scents to them. But just like reducing some stuff like that. Like I know my mom was super old school and used Clorox for everything, and it's like the whole house smells like a chemical bomb went off, and you're like coughing and choking. So just changing little small things like that. Not using synthetic candles, using soy candles, things like that. Not using Glade plugins; those are super toxic to your endocrine system, hormonal health, even for men as well. And then plastics for your food packaging. So if you have food storage containers or water bottles, either using stainless steel for cookware and for drinkware, or for food storage using glass or ceramic versus plastic. Plastic is super harmful, especially when it reaches high temperatures. It starts to release those chemicals directly into your food, and you put that right into your body. I'm sure you guys have heard of microplastics and how most Americans have this like insane accumulation in your body, and your body, once they're in there, they're in there. There's no getting rid of them. So making those small swaps can help as well. Non-stick cookware, be very careful with that. A lot of that is super toxic, so you want to look at brands And it's an investment. So again, start small and do what you can, make small swaps over time. When I first got into the whole holistic world, I was so overwhelmed. I came home and I said, everything has to go in the trash. It's got to go right now. It's killing us slowly. And then I was like, holy smokes, we don't have anything. And this is, a big investment. So start small. But brands like Caraway are really good. They're still non-stick, but they're also non-toxic. So just being more aware of the products you're using. You can do some digging into them, to do some research to make sure that it is healthy for your family. Um, and then we went over all that, covered all that, and we're good to go to the next slide. Sorry, I can be informal sometimes with these presentations. So here's some resources again for you guys. Yucca app is really good to have on your phone. So if you're at the grocery store, you can pull up the Yucca app. You can scan the QR code directly on, or not the QR code, the barcode on the product, and it will give you a rating right there of how toxic that product is. The higher the rating, the less toxic it is. The lower the rating, you don't want it in your house. Super good. I was actually really happy. I was at Costco the other day and I saw a lady and she's like scanning products. And I said, is that the Yucca app? And she said it is. And I actually didn't have my phone with me and I was curious about a product I've been using. I asked her to scan it. It had a good rating. So I was excited that I wasn't unknowingly poisoning myself with the body wash I've been using for several months now. But yes, that's a great resource. It's super easy to use. Just give it a quick scan and it'll tell you. And it gives you the reason why. So it'll give you, if it gets a high rating, it'll tell you why it's got a high rating. And if it gives you a low rating, it'll tell you why it's got a low rating. Super good. Again, just to make better decisions for your family, more informed decisions. That is really what is most important to me, is people just having access to information so you can make the best decisions for your family. And then we talked about eating on the outer aisles of the grocery store earlier. And unfortunately, in America, we still have to be careful with that as well. So this is a QR code to the Clean 15 Dirty Dozen by the EWG. This is released annually. So it's just going to give you a list. Again, it's just being cognizant of what we're buying. So products that absolutely need to be organic every single time are the Dirty Dozen, and the Clean 15 don't necessarily have to be organic. You can just buy the regular and it's probably safe, versus the Dirty Dozen. Those are the fruits and vegetables for the season that have been ranked to have high pesticides and GMOs, things like that they're using that year for those products. So the Dirty Dozen, always organic. Clean 15, those are the ones that you can kind of compromise on and don't necessarily have to be organic. So that's a QR code to that list as well. Again, it changes annually. So you just have to remember, in January with your New Year's resolution, and make sure you look that up, and so that you can make healthy choices for your family. Okay, so we're going to go back to the function scale now. Now that we've covered 4 of the 5 essentials, I want to start to transition into the last and final one, which is chiropractic care, which I'm sure you could all assume from all these banners and chiropractic talk that we had earlier. So while exercise and minimizing toxins and nutrition and all these things are super important for your health, it still doesn't get down to the bottom of the root cause of how your body functions and heals, kind of what we talked about earlier, which is this function scale. So all these things are great and they contribute to living a healthy lifestyle and thriving, but they're still not moving you this way. What moves you that way is how your body is functioning and healing. And medical doctors agree with this. It's in anatomy textbooks. Your brain controls every function in your body, and how your brain communicates with your body for it to function is through your spinal cord and out through nerves. And those nerves go to every cell, tissue, and organ in your entire body. Now, a lot of times when people hear a chiropractor, they think, oh, they're just like cracking bones. I have an ache, I have a pain. I'm going to go and they're just going to move my bones and I'll feel better. But what really chiropractors are doctoring is your nervous system. So yes, they're adjusting your spine, and they're very specific adjustments to get your spine in the correct position. But the reason is because your spine houses your spinal cord, which is what controls every function in your body. So if you think about it, when you have a misalignment in your spine, we're going to use the lumbar spine for example, because that's what mine were all messed up. You have a misalignment here, so that just means that one of your vertebrae has shifted out of place, or it is curved, people with scoliosis, things like that. Instead of it being in this optimal position where you have these curves, 45-degree curves throughout your spine, there's now a kink. So instead of your brain sending a message down and it seamlessly flowing, there is a little bit of pressure there. And so nerves control everything in your body. So this is a little bit dramatic of an example, but if you were to chop a nerve, wherever that nerve is going, that organ's going to die. So if you chop the nerve to your heart, you're going to drop dead of a heart attack. Now, nobody's going around chopping nerves, but we do get these pressure, and all of a sudden, it's harder for those nerves to communicate with that organ, and you start to see disease and symptoms popping up. Now, a lot of people, we want to get rid of symptoms and hide them and get them to go away as quick as possible. But I also want to shift you guys' mindset on symptoms as well. You should be thankful that you have a symptom popping up, because that is your body's alarm system saying, hey, something is not right here. I need help. And so when we cover them and mask them, we're never getting back to true function. We're just hiding it. So whenever you have a symptom pop up, be thankful for it, because now you can get to the root cause and start moving back to 100%. So what structural chiropractic care does is, when we have those misalignments, we're addressing the root cause by shifting the spine back into the optimal position, which if you're looking from the side, it's these 345-degree curves, and then straight on, it's straight up and down, so that your brain is able to communicate through your spinal cord out through those nerves, and so that your body can function and heal the way that it was designed to without interference. Um, Again, this is why it is so important. So, in some of the warning signs, it's not always something super severe, you guys. Like for me, it was, I had, but I also was in a state of turmoil for years. So I had a lot of symptoms going on with multiple organ systems. But it can be really quiet sometimes: numbness, tingling, pain, loss of range of motion, digestive issues, migraines, allergies, fatigue, women, reproductive irregularities with your cycles. It's not random. And in America, it's become really normalized. But I'm here to tell you that common doesn't make it normal. Just because something is prevalent doesn't mean that that should be accepted as the social norm of health and wellness, because it's not. And I was in a place where I thought that that was going to be my life. Like, this is it. I was like 24 years old. I was like, I'm just going to have a life of sickness, and I'll just be grateful that I'm alive, and I'll deal with what I got to deal with. And I truly had accepted that I was just going to be sick and ill for the rest of my life. And so now, looking back as a 29-year-old, that is not the case. And doctors were telling me that same thing of like, you're just going to have to manage this. It just is what it is. Take medicine, do the best you can, symptom management. And now I'm healthy, I'm thriving, I'm active, and all these things. And I have no symptoms anymore. It's incredible. Now, do I have to live my life in a certain way with modifications? Absolutely. But um, it's not something that you have to accept for yourself. And even if someone has told you that you have to accept it and this is the end for you, that is not the truth. So again, core chiropractic is the last 5 essential here. So we kind of just went over the nervous system. Now I'm going to teach you how Max Living addresses chiropractic care, because it's different than other chiropractors. And all chiropractic is great chiropractic, but we just approach it a little bit different, where we do structural correction of the spine. So it's very specific care plans. It's always up to doctor's discretion, but 99% of the time we're taking imaging of our patients. And every time you're getting an adjustment, your x-rays are pulled up in front of that doctor, and they are adjusting you down to the millimeter for what your specific spine needs for you to have correction in order for your nervous system to communicate correctly in your body. So that includes something like a care plan, where a lot of chiropractors and the types of chiropractors I had seen through my life, it was kind of like you just pop in whenever you want. We joke and call it really expensive Tylenol, because it's kind of what it was. It was still just pain management versus root cause, finding the root cause and then addressing the root cause, and equipping our patients with success through the 5 essentials as well, on top of chiropractic, to improve their health. So structural correction of the spine, neurological based spinal care. It's very, very specific. You're following a care plan. It's not loosey goosey, pop in whenever you want. It's very specific. It's very intense for the first couple weeks. And then you move to something called maintenance, where then we're just maintaining the work that we've done so that you continue to live a healthy lifestyle. But that is the last and final 5 essential for us. And again, just to remind you that it's not about moving your bones. It's about taking care of your nervous system, so that your nervous system can communicate with the rest of your body, so that it can function and heal the way that it was designed to. I'm going to show you what that looks like, because again, we take images, and so you can kind of see the difference in what an x-ray looks like before and after our structural chiropractic cares. So this is actually me when I first got x-rayed when I was nannying. And again, I told you guys, from the side, you're supposed to have those three 45-degree curves, and then looking straight on, your spine's supposed to be just straight up and down. This is a view from, don't know the views our doctors do. getting them so confused. I know there's like AP, LP, whatever. This is me straight, and so you can see my lumbar spine is completely curved this way. Your hips are supposed to sit level and balanced. Mine were sitting like this, and so you see this degree here, and then if you come over here, this is that region right there, and you see everything that it's going to are all the organs that were directly affected in my GI tract. So I was diagnosed with something called pancreatitis, which is a form of ulcerative colitis. And lucky for me, UC normally affects one portion of the colon, whereas pancreatitis affects the entire colon. Super fun. But if you look at my spine and you see where it's going to my small intestine and my colon. And so my inflammation had gotten so bad at one point that my colon was teetering on necrosis, and started chiropractic care, minimizing toxins, cleaning up my nutrition, exercising. But really, what the foundation of that was the chiropractic care. I never imagined, and honestly, I'll be honest with you guys. When I started this, I was like, yeah, okay, like sure, like I'll give it a go and I'm gonna do it. But I'm like, I've tried everything. This is not gonna make a difference. I've seen chiropractors before. They said they were gonna help me. It didn't make a difference. And but I'm kind of like a full send person. When I do something, I do it all the way. And so I just locked in and did it, and it's radically changed my life. So you can see there. And then also my neck here, super fun. You're supposed to have this 45-degree angle here, and this C1, also referred to as your atlas, is supposed to be taking off like a plane. That is the direct link from your spinal cord to your brain. So when you get pressure there, that's like right at the tip top. Your brain is not communicating at all if this is out of place. So now if you come over here and look at my x-ray, my neck is straight as a board. I have something called forward head posture. So your ears are supposed to sit level over your shoulders. Forward head posture, it's from texting, being on a computer, being bent over. Your head starts to push out, and then you have gravity pushing down on it, and you get this extra weight right here at your atlas. So then if you come back over here and look, I was having issues with my liver. I was having issues with my kidneys. I was having migraines chronically, and it's all connected right here. So now I'm going to show you, because I can sit here and say, oh, I feel better all I want. I'm going to show you proof of that with my x-rays. And so now you can see my spine, and these are old. These are probably from a year or so ago. These have gotten better since then, much straighter than previous. My hips are starting to come back to balance, and they are not rotated anymore, and my symptoms are drastically improved. And then my neck here has got curve back in it now. I haven't had a migraine. Pre-chiropractic, I was taking migraine shots twice a week, missing work 3 times a week for migraines, on top of the GI issues. Debilitating migraines, had accepted it. My mom had migraines. I was like, oh, this is just genetic. I'm going to have migraines forever. I haven't had a migraine in like 2 years now. None. Not even a baby headache. Nothing. And it's getting that curve back in so that my brain can communicate with the rest of my body the way it's supposed to. That was a warning sign to me saying, hey, sister, something's wrong. You got to do something about it, or we're just going to keep getting worse. So those are the pictures. We also have a saying with MaxLiving that seeing is to know and not seeing is to guess. And we never want to guess with anybody's health. So that's why we also emphasize x-rays and the importance of them. Again, here's some more warning signs. These are some of the smaller, well, some of these are not small, but some things that you might not necessarily correlate to a warning sign. Headaches, menstrual problems, high blood pressure. High blood pressure is a big one. We have patients come in and say all the time, well, my doctor said I'm going to be on this medication forever. They start chiropractic care and they're off their blood pressure medicine within 3 months. I mean, it is insane. So high blood pressure, that's not a death sentence if you don't want it to be. Depression, numbness, tingling, sciatic pain, low back pain, neck pain, dizziness, fatigue, acid reflux, food intolerances. So gluten intolerance, lactose intolerance, all those types of things are a warning sign. Ear infections, frequent colds, constipation, problems with your attention, your focus, sleep problems, eczema, and skin irritation as well. And you guys have your health surveys in front of you, so that's just a quick way you can do a check-in if you'd like. If you have any of these warning signs, you can circle them, fill them out, put your information at the bottom. We can talk about it when I'm done. So we offer full comprehensive consultations with our doctors. What that includes is a full health history with our doctor. So you're going to sit down just like I did several years ago, and they're going to hear your whole life story from start to finish, any traumas you've had, whether physical, emotional, symptoms you're dealing with, how they impact your life, how you want them to improve, what your goals are. I mean, they're going to do a full health dive into your history, and they're not going to rush you. They're not going to gaslight you. They're going to hear you, and they truly want to get to the root cause of what's causing this and then come up with a plan to get you on the right track. In that exam, we also do posture, range of motion, and neurological exams. If any of those come back positive, our doctor would then determine that they would probably want digital x-rays on you. That's 3 views. So they're going to do 3 separate views of digital x-rays because, again, we are specific and we want to know exactly what's going on with your health and your spine, and we don't want to guess. Whether you guys see us or another chiropractor, I'm just going to give you this tidbit. If you go to a chiropractor and they don't take images, do not let them adjust you. And it's not that the adjustment is dangerous without an x-ray. It's just that they don't know what they're looking at. So how can they ever address the problem correctly? That's why we take images. Um, so x-rays if necessary if you're positive on any of those exams. Normally for that, it's $185, but when I do community outreach and engagement, it's $37. The way to get the $37 is you have to pay today and you have to book today. That just lets me know that you guys are serious about coming in. We're also the largest holistic health clinic in the Southeast region with the three locations and also just our patient base in general. So those new patient appointments are kind of limited. So by you paying today, it holds your spot. And then by you scheduling today, it lets me know when to expect you. I can prep our doctors and also knowing that you're serious about taking the next step in your health journey. So if you guys have any questions, if you filled out your health survey and you have anything circled, I genuinely care so much about you guys. I know I just met you today, but I just know how drastically it's changed my life. And so if you have anything that you want to ask me questions about, I really will spend all the time in the world with you and get you in and see our doctors as soon as we can because I genuinely want what's best for you. Or if you just have questions in general about anything else we've talked about, I would love to go over any of that with you as well. So if you have questions, I'll be here for a couple minutes. I know it's just the 4 of us, so don't everybody get up at once. But that's it, and that's all I have for you guys today. Yeah, absolutely.